guys, welcome to JMac Creations. I'm JR, and today we're going to do a redesign of Link from the Legend of Zelda series. Alright guys, what I wanted to start off with was to, before I chose my final pose for the picture, I like to do on a scratch piece of paper, just do a couple pencil sketches of different poses to choose from before I choose the final pose. So that's what I'm doing here, just do a couple of little thumbnail sketches to figure out which one I'm going to use for the final drawing of Link. I originally was going to go with the bottom one, as you see when I actually tap the paper, but I ended up going and finding this reference of Link online, and I loved that pose, so I ended up going with this one for the final drawing. And I just like the actual action shot of how he looks like he's sliding into combat, or like he's about to strike. So I really like that one. So what I did is the whole body's made out of shapes. So I end up sketching out the head and drawing the cross lines on the head and the face to line up the nose, the mouth, and the eyes, so you know the placement of where everything's going to go. And then what I'm doing is blocking in all the limbs and all the arms and everything like that to know where everything's going to go, make sure the everything's the right size. And here I am drawing the shield in, and then the little brackets on the back. And you always want to draw really light when you're doing this process, because if you go too dark, then you won't be able to erase it, and it's just going to make you harder, make it harder on you in the long run. And then what I start to do is block in the actual, after blocking in the actual body shape and everything, like I was saying, I start to do a little bit of the actual detail, like blocking in the hair and getting the nose done. And I wanted to keep his elvish ears, because that's one of the main things about him. But I actually wanted to get him a beard and everything, because I was actually really liking the idea of making him into like a Viking-esque type of Link. So I threw in a braided beard, which you're going to see in a little bit. And I started doing like leather bound like armor and like furs and everything like that. Adding in the shape of the shoe. And I was really picky with the shoes, because I kept on like adjusting it as I went, but adding in the musculature and like the abs and trying to get the right shape of the chest and the neck. I ended up choosing the hairstyle because it's kind of like Travis Fimmel from Vikings. It's shaved on the sides, but it kind of looks like a mohawk, but it's like pulled back in like a ponytail. I gave him like an aggressive look, so he looks kind of like he's ticked off, because he's in battle now. But I thought it was a pretty cool look for the face. There you go, adding the fur around the waist. And I ended up putting these little like leather straps hanging from his waist, and you can see like the leather brace on his arm, and also the same kind of leather pieces on his thighs as well. Ended up adding like a little I forgot what it's actually called, but a little backpack for his arrows. I think it's a quill. I don't know, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But then adding in a little bit of the muscle in the arms, and adding more detail to the sword, a little bit more to the hand. As I'm going, I always try to tighten up as I go, like adding a little bit more detail just to tighten up the overall picture. There's the detail in the beard, kind of like Thor from Endgame. I wanted to have that twisted beard look. There's more fur around the shoes. I wanted to. The shoes were actually a really cool idea I had. It made like it's made out of animal skin, and it had the fur around the top, and it had like like he stitched the side together, and adding the pupils. I originally, if you see like on the right side of his face by not the right, the left side of his face by the shield, I originally had the back of his hair like blowing, but I ended up changing that and having it a ponytail blowing in the wind, and it was all braided together. Adding a little bit more detail to the face, the wrinkles, and I think I added in a little bit of scarring over his eye, and his little earrings. And then I tried to add a little bit more detail, so I wanted to like add some bones hanging from his waist there and his belt. And then I know it's not the best thing because it bleeds through sometimes, but I always like fine tip Sharpies. And here I am starting to the inking process, having those long like braided mustache like blowing in the wind because I wanted to have him like he's sliding in, so everything is going to be shifting like using the like the motion like he's sliding in. Wrinkles in the forehead. And Link always has these like long pointed sideburns, which I really wanted to keep in there. And there's the mohawk I was talking about. It's just like his hair is pulled back and it's like tied behind his head. There's the braided beard, just like Thor in Endgame. And then going for the leather strap. Now I had redesigned Link like this before, just for like fun. I end up doing this a lot in my like older sketchbooks. I try to just picking my favorite characters and like trying to redesign them in different styles and stuff like that. It's always a fun thing to do when you can't think of what to draw. But I had made him like a lot bulkier, not as lean as this version is. But the pattern on the shoulder piece with the fur around it and everything like that, I wanted to continue that, so I ended up inking the rest of his armor like that at the same time. So I added the like the fur around the edge, and then that crisscross pattern like it's pressed into the leather, and then there's like torn fabric underneath the fur, creating the layers and the detail and everything like that. And then there's the rope that's holding the bones together on his belt. There I am. Like I said before, I wanted to keep that overall look of the crisscross pattern that's on his shoulder piece. You know, continuing that on all the armor pieces, I just thought it was a really cool look. There's the more fur that I wanted to continue, because you don't know like what this version of Link has been doing. So I wanted to basically make like he's more of like a hunter living off the land type of thing. So it's like lots of fur in his costume and everything like that. Also put that around the edge of his boots, like I said before, and then I made like his shorts were made out of animal skin too, so they were like just end under the knee. And there's those leather straps that I was talking about. And like I said before, everything has like the motion of him like sliding in. So I wanted it to be like he's sliding into the left. So everything would be swinging to the right because of the motion. And I always thought it was cool just to, like I said, is like create layers, add detail to the character and everything like that. So I have everything layered on, like the bones on top of the leather straps, which are on top of the leather pads on his thighs. And then just finishing up the other shoe like the other one, having the animal skin and fur, and then having it stitched up right down the side like I was saying, like he made them himself. Adding a little bit of muscle tone to the arm. What I really liked is I didn't plan to like it this much, but I really like the gauntlets that I did for him, because it has the same pattern like it does on his shoulder piece and his the thigh pieces, but I just like how it's like overlapped over the fur, and then it has like the brackets on the inside forearm, and I just thought it came out pretty cool. And I really like how it looked. Like it's an extra protection. And I had this like kind of like backstory in my head that maybe he was like cast out from the town he was in or something like that, and he had to live off the land. So maybe he made these arrows out of the wood that he found while he was on his journey and stuff like that. So maybe he did like got the made the leather from the animals that he hunted, and just found all these different trinkets. Maybe he fashioned everything himself. It's just really cool to like create a backstory if you ever creating like a character or anything like that. I really wanted to keep the overall like same shape to his shield. I didn't want to change it that much, but I was thinking about doing it originally, but I didn't think the shield will look strong enough if it was like a regular like Viking shield that's typically like circular. But ended up keeping the actual shape, but I changed the actual look of it. So I kept the metal edge to it, but I actually made it like he made it out of like planks of wood or something like that, which I thought was a really cool feel for this character design. I decided not to go with a gauntlet on this side, maybe keep it like just a little different. So I made like a leather bracelet on this side and ended up adding like his ponytail, his braided ponytail, like blowing. A little bit more wrinkles on the forehead. They're having like all the little planks of wood that were pieced together, because you don't know if he actually like found the wood on like a hut when he was like journeying on his little quest or anything like that, but he could have cut down a tree and just fashioned the shield himself like that. It's just a cool concept. That's why I always kind of like want to make the backstory for a character kind of like that. It's always a fun idea to do whenever you're redesigning a character or just creating one on your own. It's adding a little bit more dents and nicks into the shield because, you know, kind of like a barbarian type look or a Viking-esque look like we're doing here. You know he's going to be able to see some action, so you don't want to have it too clean. And finally finishing off the sword. I wanted to change that a little bit because I didn't think the his overall sword design fit this type of character. So I ended up making it more like this image here, which looked more like a plain sword, and I actually liked that a lot better. A little bit more detail, just adding in a little bit of things, and I think I was starting to do like a darker outline at this point, just to tie everything together. The same thing I did with the shield, like adding all the little dings and nicks and everything, and scratches. I did that to the sword too. He's, like I said, he's seen some like action and like battles and everything, because it looks like this version of Link has been through some stuff. Just tightening up a little bit of the detail in the face. Like I said, doing a darker outline. Adding little battle scars. One right there across the temple. Adding the thin land line at the bottom because I didn't want him to look like he was floating in the air. I think by this point I was actually signing the bottom and adding a little.
And here's
bit
our finished
grass by the
product.
foot,
Let me
but
know
I
what
got
you
cut
guys
off a
think in the
little bit, so I
comments, and
apologize for
don't
that.
forget to like, share, and subscribe.